Formula One is one of the most popular and prestigious motorsports in the world. The competition attracts the best drivers and teams in the world, with millions of fans tuning in to watch the races live or on television. However, behind the glamour and excitement of the sport lies a complex financial web. In this script, we will explore the financials around Formula One, including what the coureurs yearly earn and what the teams receive from the organization. Formula One is a unique business model where the governing body, the FIA, Federation Internationale de l'Automobile, grants the commercial rights to a third party, currently Liberty Media Corporation. The commercial rights holder then sells the rights to the races, television broadcasts, and sponsorships to generate revenue. The teams that compete in Formula One receive a portion of the revenue generated from the commercial rights. The distribution of revenue is based on a system that rewards performance and longevity in the sport. The top-performing teams receive a higher percentage of the revenue than the lower-performing teams. Additionally, teams that have been in the sport for a longer period receive a larger portion of the revenue than new teams. Formula One drivers are among the highest-paid athletes in the world. The salaries of drivers vary significantly based on their experience, success, and the teams they race for. The highest-paid driver at the moment is the Dutchman Max Verstappen. His salary and the salary of all the other drivers will be revealed at the end of the video. The Formula One circus has to transport everything for every race: motorhomes, cars, name it. The cost of transporting all the goods required for a Formula One race varies depending on the location of the race, the distance traveled, and the size of the team. However, it's estimated that the transportation costs for a single race can range from $2 million to $10 million. The transportation costs include shipping the cars, equipment, and personnel to the race location. This includes the transportation of the cars, which are shipped in custom-built containers, as well as the transportation of the other equipment and supplies required for the race, such as tires, spare parts, and fuel. The cost of transportation is one of the major expenses for Formula One teams, and they work to minimize these costs by optimizing their logistics and shipping arrangements. Some teams may use their own transport vehicles and equipment, while others may rely on specialized logistics companies to handle the transportation. In recent years, there have been discussions about making changes to the Formula One calendar to reduce the number of races and the associated transportation costs. However, any changes to the calendar would require the agreement of all the teams and the commercial rights holder. The top drivers in Formula One can earn anywhere between $30 million and $50 million per year. However, most drivers earn significantly less, with the average salary being around $5 million per year. Drivers who are new to the sport or racing for smaller teams can earn as little as $500,000 per year. Those drivers are in most cases paid drivers. They bring a sponsor with them to the team. The sponsor pays the team a significant amount of money in exchange for a seat for the driver. The driver receives a bit of the amount the sponsor pays, in most cases around $1 million annually. Guanyu Zhou is a perfect example. He brought a sponsor with him to Alfa Romeo, which pays $30 million a year. Zhou receives $2 million of that amount annually. But what do the other drivers receive? The lowest paid drivers are Logan Sargent and Yuki Tsunoda. They both earn $1 million per year. Nick de Vries, Oscar Piastri, Nico Hülkenberg, and Guanyu Zhou earn $2 million per year. Williams driver Alex Albon earns $3 million a year. The legendary Spanish driver now earns $5 million per year, the same as Kevin Magnussen and Pierre Gasly. The Frenchman Esteban Ocon receives annually $6 million from his team Alpine. George Russell is good for $8 million per year. Valtteri Bottas and Lance Stroll can count on $10 million per year, the same as Red Bull driver Sergio Perez. Smooth operator Carlos Sainz receives $12 million from Ferrari each year. Upcoming star Lando Norris extended his contract last year and secured himself a nice $20 million annually. Charles Leclerc, who is going to fight for his first world title, receives $24 million per year. Lewis Hamilton, who has earned more than $300 million in his career, has a salary of $35 million per year. And then the absolute best driver on the grid this moment signed this year a mega contract. Max Verstappen gave himself a raise which resulted in a stunning $55 million per year, the highest paid driver in the history of Formula One. Every driver receives a certain amount per point they secure per race. That is different for every driver. Also, every driver has personal sponsorships with several brands. For example, Max Verstappen earns an additional €5 million per year for his sponsored deal with the Dutch brand Jumbo. Last year, the FIA introduced the budget cap. every team has to work with a budget of $150 million per year. One of the largest expenses for a Formula One team is the cost of their personnel, which includes drivers, engineers, mechanics, and other support staff. The salaries and bonuses of these individuals can make up a significant portion of the team's budget. The salaries of the two drivers are excluded from the budget. Another major expense for a Formula One team is the cost of research and development. This includes the design and development of new cars, as well as the development of new technologies and strategies to improve performance. As mentioned earlier, the transportation costs for a single race can range from $2 million to $10 million. In addition to transportation costs, the team also has to cover the cost of accommodation and meals for their personnel during the race weekend. Formula One teams rely heavily on sponsorships and partnership to finance their operations. The team's marketing and sponsorship efforts, which can include advertising, promotions, and events, can make up a significant portion of their budget. Other expenses for a Formula One team can include the cost of supplies and materials, insurance, legal fees, and other miscellaneous expenses. The Formula One teams don't get their money out of thin air. Formula One teams can get their prize money in several ways. Participation is, of course, step one. In addition, it is vital to have finished in the top 10 of the Constructors' Championship at least twice in the past 3 seasons. Otherwise, the team misses out on a large portion of the revenue. Since the Formula One field consists of only 10 teams, which has been the case since 2017, when the curtain fell on Manor, the racing teams do not have to worry about that. For 2019, a sum of $350 million was provided from Liberty Media towards the top 10 teams, proportionately, meaning that each team received $35 million. The earnings from that money are normally named in column 1. In addition, a second sum of money, the same amount of $350 million, is distributed toward the final results of the previous Constructors' Championship. Thus, of that second $350 million, teams like Mercedes, Ferrari, and Red Bull Racing structurally receive more than teams like Alfa Romeo, formerly Sauber, or Toro Rosso. In the last money distribution, Mercedes pocketed $66 million, Ferrari $56 million, and last place 2018 Williams, only $15 million. These amounts fall under the second column because Ferrari has been active in Formula One the longest, since the very first year, 1950 to be exact. The Italian stable gets a whopping $73 million bonus. Just like that, out of nowhere. The Scuderia secured this in previous negotiations with Bernie Ecclestone when the Old Briton was still wielding the scepter. Ferrari otherwise threatened to leave the sport and caused some incitement even before the amount was granted from 2009. Officially, the bonus amount goes by the name of long-standing team payment, an old age bonus. In other words, 4 teams get a Constructors' Championship bonus. This one is tricky for a while, but it can be dissected. When the new Concord Agreement was drafted, the agreement whereby teams promised to compete in Formula One for the next number of years, Mercedes, Red Bull Racing, Ferrari, and McLaren formed a combined top 4 over the then past 4 seasons. Note that those 4 seasons were 2009, 2010, 2011, and 2012. Since Ecclestone did not want to lose any of the strong teams, he promised to pay out extra money to the foursome. Over the years, the amounts and ratios have been shaken slightly, yet each of the teams touches at least $30 million in additional dollars. That $30 million is therefore, in addition to the distorted bonus Ferrari receives each year. Mercedes and Red Bull Racing get a second bonus in addition to that one. Both teams will touch $35 million a year for winning the Constructors' Championship more than twice in a row, a deal they struck earlier in the decade. Incidentally, Renault can also earn that money, at least if they manage to become world champion again. The French racing stable will receive the same amount after scoring 2 consecutive world titles. Finally, Williams can also count on a bonus. The racing stable was tight on cash at the time the previous Concord Agreement was drafted and was also keen to share in the bonus pot. An annual sum of $10 million is set aside for Claire Williams' team, which they will receive because of the team's historical value. Despite the challenges and uncertainties, Formula One remains one of the most exciting and dynamic motorsports in the world, attracting millions of fans and generating billions of dollars in revenue. We hope that this video has helped shed some light on the financials around Formula One and provided a better understanding of how the sport operates behind the scenes. Thanks for watching this video, and please hit the like and subscribe button. It will help us a lot in our ability to make more content for you.